Good afternoon. I'm here with my friend and worship singer, Cynthia Broadfoot. She is from Norway House, Manitoba, and I wanted her to come this afternoon and share her story about what God's done in her life and how He's drawn her into a life of worship and communion and just an amazing relationship with Him. And He's done that over the years through trials and different avenues that she's walked on her path to get to the Lord. And I just wanted her to share her heart with us this afternoon. She's an amazing worship artist. When I first met Cynthia, it was at Flora and King, and she was dancing and worshiping and flagging for the Lord. And so, if you could describe your relationship with Jesus today in one word, what would that word be?
Word is amazing.
Amazing.
Amazing, yeah. If
So
it's
can
one word,
you
yeah.
share with us why your relationship with Jesus is amazing?
Well, the beginning of my relationship with him was like as a young child. I went to kids camp and I prayed the sinner's prayer, and I believed in the Lord, and I always had a love for the Lord, and I always had a love for, ever since I can remember, even as a child, as a teenager, I just always loved Israel because, Jesus was from Israel, and so it's always been there. Also, I went through a lot of, I went through a time in my life where I was, as a young child, I was at a birthday party, like a sleepover, a pajama party. And there was a game that was given to the kids to play. One of them got them it was a birthday gift for one of them, and or my friend, and there was a Ouija board. So we played that game, and ever since, you know, uh, uh, I came home, and ever since then, like I came home the next day, and I struggled with fear, demonic oppression. I could hear things, I could feel things. I always had the spirit of fear, and I was always scared of devil. I used to walk, or I was always scared to be alone, scared of the dark. So I lived like that for many, many years. Even as a teenager, like I believe I had a good home, I had good parents, and they taught us well, but I was also living with the spirit of fear, and I had to be around people who were up at nights, up all night, people that partied and drank, so I didn't have to be alone. So I didn't necessarily take part in everything. I just didn't want to be alone because I was terrified. So I lived in that for years and years, and then and I married, and I became I was a young mom, and I had my two children, and I was visiting this missionary couple, and I remember just waking up, one afternoon, how the girls were having a nap, and I woke up, and I was just, a Bible was there, and I read about, about the man who was possessed with the legion of demons, and I was reading, it and sitting there, and I just remember, I was reading his word, and it says there, I think it's in Mark and Luke, but it's about the man from the Gadarenes who was possessed with all these demons, and I remember reading where, this man, he saw Jesus, walking, and this man who had the legion of demons, he ran up to Jesus, and he bowed down to him, and he said, "Oh, Son of the Most High God, have you come, have you, have you come to torment me to torment us before our time?" And when I read that, it was just like a revelation. It was just like all of a sudden, I just realized here I was scared of the devil, the dark side, the demonic side, and yet that the demons were, were terrified of Jesus. I could hear the terror, like, in that revelation. I could hear and I could feel that they were terrified of Jesus. And it was just like, okay, I'm scared of them, but they're scared of him, that they're terrified of Jesus. And it was just like, a light switch went on, and that was a revelation. I could actually hear like a chain drop. It sounded like a chain, and I was free from that terror, of the fear and of the demonic. So that was, I think I was about 22, and so I was set free from that horrible fear. I'm sure I walked in that. After 10 years, I was walking in that terror. So that was, that's when he delivered me from that bondage of fear. And then as I walked along, I'm in my walk. I was a baby Christian. I was untaught. But I would always go to church. Always like to be around Christian people, and I would learn about the Lord.
You were saying you were raised in a good home, so it was a Christian home, or it was?
It was, well, we had good parents, they were responsible, working. My mom used to like to take us to church. It wasn't regular, but it was, we went to church, and especially on all the special holidays, my dad would come with us, like Christmas and Easter, and yeah, so we just always had that, and we didn't, that there wasn't any addictions or, in the home. So it was a safe home, yeah. Mm-hmm. So it was a good home, yeah. And they were, and my parents were always like hard workers and good people, but they, yeah. So that's how I see Christian home, yeah.
Yeah. So Norway House, how far away from Winnipeg is that?
Approximately, kilometers, I don't know, but it's about 10 hours on the road.
North.
Yeah, north, yeah.
So would you call it an isolated community? Or?
Well, there you can. It is I guess it is an isolated community, and they have to use the ferry to cross over. So. Okay. And there is a winter road, which is the ice. So, but they use the ferry when it's not winter. Yeah, okay. That's Norway House, Manitoba. Yeah.
So that's where you went to school, and you.
No, I was born in Norway House, and I left there when I was 4, and then I was raised in Thompson, Manitoba as a child, and that's where I went to elementary school. Yeah. So I am from the north. I'm a northern. Northern kid, yeah. Yeah,
so that's kind of where you had your experience with all this in Thompson.
Yes, yeah. So it was, and it was just, yes. Well, so that was the beginning. I was set free from, a demonic fear, and then as I got older, and I suffered depression, exhaustion, and then I had young children then. So yeah. So it affected us terribly, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So even after being delivered, like you were delivered, you were set free from the word, there was still those long-term kind of struggles that you felt that you faced.
Yes, yeah. So that was a huge one.
Yeah. So I know you today as, like I said, you've been flagging, you've been worshiping, you have this life of communion with the Lord. Mm-hmm. Kind of take us from that place of that struggle and bring us up to today.
Today, and then another part of where, my testimony is how the Lord healed me from depression. It took a lot of years. I mean, I went through like a burnout and then depression. I sought counseling. I was also on medication for many years, and I'm happy I agreed to take it. And I was always in church, always seeking the Lord, always seeking prayer. And I believe that's what brought me through was, the combination of all that to heal me. And like I used to and when the Lord, as He was healing me from that, depression and the devastation also of, the family separating. I was a single mom. My ex-husband left, and then my kids went into CFS care, and it was because of that. And it was devastating, but also the Lord healed me and helped me. I always sought the Lord. I was always in His house, and then I don't know exactly when it happened, but I remember I just started, I used to worship the Lord in church. We would just be singing away, and then I was a member of this church where people would stood up and dance, and I just started dancing, and that's when I was able to, share with others that, that the Lord has turned my morning into dancing. So it was a very healing. It was a freeing, and so I believe and after many years I was completely healed of depression. But in all those years, again, I sought the Lord. I was always around His people, in His house. I was reading the Word every day, and I just learning. I was a sponge, I was just really, I learned a lot from God's people and as ministers, and so so it was so it's just all that together, and His Word, and all the promises in His Word, also from His prophets. They would just give me hope to hang on, because there's times you think I should just end it all. If I happen to kill myself, it's not going to be a big deal. I don't need to be here.
So the depth of where God brought you out from, was
very
extreme.
deep. Yeah. Very deep pain.
One of the things
Hopeless.
that we believe the reason for the podcast is it's called A Courageous Heart, because we want the testimonies, like exactly what you're sharing with us, of the women that have walked through the fire in their lives, and they've come out the other side, but they want to tell other women. They want to go back there to those young women who are in your situation today.
Yes.
Those that suffer with depression, those that are struggling with the loss of their children into the system, those that come out of all these stories that you've just been sharing so courageously. That's what we want to hear is how did the Lord lead you? Like, how that intimate walk in those times of...
Well, sometimes He just, within your heart, in your spirit, He just gives you comfort through His Word, comfort through others. A lot. About 3 times I know that helped me. I hear prophecies about how God is going to heal the indigenous people. He's going to raise them up. That would give me hope. That would give me hope for my people, for my family, for all nations, And so there's times I want to give up, but then it was like the Lord was always around the corner, or he's ahead of me, or I attend a special service, or I go visit someone, and I would hear the Lord's voice through these people, and it would just keep me going. Like, hang in there. And then also other times, I would hang in there because I thought, I'm not going to let the enemy win. I'm not going to let the dark side win. I don't really feel all that great right now. I don't feel good, but he doesn't have to win. So sometimes it would only be that would actually keep me alive, because he doesn't have to win. And I have a hope in the Lord, like for my past, forgiveness, for the present, for a future for myself and my family. And I just have hope in the Lord, and he just kept me going.
So in that fight and in that battle to come through that the Lord was bringing you through, not only did you have God's word and his leading and his love,
Yes.
but there was a level of anger, and there was a level of just standing and being strong and saying, no, I'm not going to allow the enemy to win.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for people to know, because so many times in a battle, we forget that that it is a fight. And sometimes when we're exhausted and we're tired and we think, well, the pastor wasn't here today, or nobody called me back, and you're alone and you're hurting.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes that to get angry and say, you know what? It's just me and you, Lord, but we're going to do this.
Yeah.
I think that's a very important part of
Yeah.
your testimony. As well. What I heard in there was, in the book of Revelations, it says, and they will overcome the world by through the word of their testimony and by the blood of the Lamb. And so
Amen.
it's the testimony of other people that was speaking to you
Yes.
and saying, there is peace, there is hope. And if you could share with young moms a word of advice, what would you share with them?
Young moms, just well, I tend to share this a lot, so I can share it here with young moms, and especially with younger people, and they're in these situations. They have lost their children. I've tried to connect them, or they've separated from their family because the relationship ended. And I would just share with them. I'd say, because like when you're in different situations, so I'll just share. No, you're young, and your kids are young, and you guys have a lot of good years ahead of you. So do whatever you need to do now, and work on yourself. If you need to go to, if you need to go to treatment, if you need, more counseling, there's help out there. There's lots of people who want, who care, and you guys have a bright future ahead of you, and I just work on it, just work on it, and but it's, I say also because you are younger, like you have more, you have more years together, to spend together, even though you're apart now. So that's yeah, just keep on, and you have a lot of years ahead of you. So that's what I would share.
As you're sharing, you're talking about those dark times and the isolated times when you were in depression and it felt like nobody noticed. What advice would you share to the church world, to those of us that see people come and go in our lives every day? We pass them in church, we talk to them, and how is it that people can better reach out, can better make contact?
Just better reach out and contact. Well, I always remember how, I just people, just be kind, just being kind or show an interest in people. And also be aware that, a lot of these people are recovering from, someone's trauma, intergenerational trauma. You know, like there's all sorts of trauma that people experience. So just to have that, interest in them, show that interest, even a simple smile, a bit of kindness, make a connection with them, and that's a good start. But it's like, it's just being kind, because they, they go through a lot and they face a lot of hurt and abuse and mistreatment and racism, and so just kindness and love go a long way, and it will never be forgotten. And that's the beginning, and just just live your lives and as the best way that you learn that the Lord expects of us, and and I just pray for them and just so that's pray for them and be there. And I'm just thinking of all the people who have helped me along the road, and different stages in my life, and it's just always that care and kindness, and just being actually I remember sharing with this with this one man, I guess years ago. I worked with him. I was in a work situation with him, and then also I used to attend the same church. And I remember one time in my whole life it was more than once, but I remember once when I backslid, and I was away for a couple of years, a year and a half, and then I thought, you know what? I came back, and these guys are here. These are the faithful ones. These are the pillars, and I appreciate them, because no matter what's going on, and then again, it's a picture of Jesus. He's always the same, yesterday, today, forever. So it's just an example of him, that they're always there, and they're faithful, and they're pillars, and that's what what we can look forward to and rely on. So I just remember just us sitting there once, and then I was thinking that, and then we were all of us got together. We were like in a discussion group or something at church, and that's what I said to him. I said I want to thank you just for always being there, and you're one of the pillars. And actually, so I was able to thank him, and he appreciated that. So just like keep on serving the Lord, and praying for others, and you're making a difference. So it's
Well, today, Cynthia, I definitely see you as one of those pillars. And when I first met you and I saw you dancing and flagging and worshiping, and as I said, you were there week after week after week in the same chair, the same place, and I could go to church any time of the year, or and there you would be. You would come up the aisle and you go sit there, and you just start to worship the Lord. And I always thought to myself, I really want to get to know her, because like I couldn't even at that time I was a new Christian, so it was hard for me even to get the courage to raise my hand or be so free and have that much liberty to get out there and dance the way you did. So you show your freedom and your liberty, that God has set you free, and in so many amazing ways. And when you describe your relationship and the intimacy that you have, I see amazing gifts in your life. You work with our our relatives, our indigenous families that are struggling with homelessness. You bring them joy. You bring them kindness. You just do an amazing job out there, and I know that you're gifted in many ways because of the things that you survived and you came through. So I just wanted to celebrate that today and give you the chance, and thank you for sharing that and hanging on, and being that elder and that pillar for our young women. So I just wanted to share this scripture as well, because this scripture, I thought of you. Psalms 9, verse 1. I will give thanks to the Lord with all my heart. I will recount all of your wonderful deeds. I will be glad and exalt you. I will sing praise to your name, O Most High God. And that's what I think of when I see you dancing out there. So thank you so much, Cynthia, for coming today and sharing what's on your heart and having the courage to share all that with us.